Today we're going to look at a sensation or a phenomenon sweeping the internet right now with DIY enthusiasts. It's called hydro dipping. Now, hydro dipping is the process of applying a water transfer onto the most boring, the most uninspiring product ever. Think about this fork, for instance. Today we're going to turn this into something that looks way cooler. Right, so why are we going to be doing hydro dipping then instead of spray painting? Well, firstly, spray painting takes skill, time, more skill, and also ideally quite a lot of specialist equipment. Whereas hydro dipping, yeah, it does require a little bit of equipment, but the results you can get from it can be absolutely stunning. So let's have a look then at what bits of equipment we're going to need, and then we can, well, crack on with turning this into something which is good enough to eat, or at least in theory. Right, let's run through then the few bits of kit on the desk here which I'm going to be using today. First up, on the forks, we are going to give them a little rub down with some of this. It's emery cloth or wet and dry paper. It's 1000 grit and also some Scotch Brite pad here too. We just want to make sure that it's got a little bit of roughness to it. Now, the reason behind that roughness is so that when I apply this, the primer, it sticks to it well. Now, we're just going to apply a couple of very light dusting coats almost of this, and then we're going to coat it in a bit of paint too. Now, the paint isn't necessarily always required. It does depend on the graphic you are going to be putting onto a product, but I'm going to be using something which does have a slight translucent appearance to it, so I want to use this silver one just to get it just pop through a little bit easier. Now, that graphic is going to be this. Yeah, some of you may well recognise them. It looks like some chocolate coated or chocolate scented candy or something like that. That's going to be the final graphic on the product. I've also got some tape here. That's to mask off anything I don't want to be dipped, as well as any holes to stop the water from rushing in and disrupting the pattern. A pair of gloves. You want to keep your hands nice and clean. And this hydrographics activator. That essentially turns this water-soluble film into a floating ink on top of our bath of water which we're going to be using. And then finally, I've got some lacquer here to make sure that all the hard work we've just done isn't going to be, well, washed away or rubbed away. It's time now to actually scratch and roughen up the surface just a very small amount to make sure the primer can adhere correctly. As you can see, I've got my gloves on. The reason being your hands actually contain some natural oils, and if you get that onto the part which you're about to start priming, well, the primer doesn't always stick correctly, so that's why I've gone for this. Once I've actually roughed it up a little bit, I'm going to apply a little bit of masking tape too, because I don't necessarily want that hydrographic film to go everywhere. So I don't really want it to go onto the steerer tube or anything, and also the little holes here on the forks themselves, which are designed to release gases when braising, you want to make sure that they're covered up too, to stop any water from rushing inside, because obviously you don't want to coat the inside of the fork with that print. But yeah, let's crack on. Now that the forks are all masked up and they've had a wet and dry treatment, I even managed to put a little bar end plug in the bottom of the steerer there too, to try and stop the water from rushing up. It's time we need to go outside and apply the primer and the base coat. It's going to be a lot more ventilated out there, and it's blistering hot too, so it's going to dry nice and quickly. Back in the workshop now with our freshly primed and also base coated fork. I've got to say actually, this silver looks pretty good. Both me and the cameraman were pleasantly surprised when it was coming out of the nozzle of that spray can. But we're not going to leave it like this. Oh no, no, no. We're going to use this film. So I need to cut it to size. Now, I do want to have spare around the actual side of it, so that if I was to submerge it, there is always going to be enough to actually give full coverage. So currently, in the background, I've got a vat of water which is cooling down to 30 degrees, because that's the temperature which is ideal for this film to work with. So I'm going to cut it, and then I'm going to actually put some masking tape around the edges so that it's almost easier to handle really, then lay it down onto the water in a hammock-like position, meaning that you minimise the amount of air bubbles in there before I apply the activator spray and then actually dip the fork in there. Now when I'm going to dip the fork, it needs to be at an angle of about 45 degrees in order to get the maximum amount of coverage on it. I'm a little bit nervous, but we are going to progress and hopefully this is going to come out absolutely perfect. So like I just said, we need to make sure this film goes on top of the water as flat as possible, so there's no air bubbles or anything. So it's going on, and we just leave that there. So I'm going to apply the activator film, but as you can see, the soluble water film is actually starting to crease up a little bit there, which is absolutely fantastic. Once I apply this, I've got to wait for 30 seconds before dipping that product. So here we go. There we are, the finished item, and I've got to say, they look pretty good, don't they? I'm impressed with that. Oh yes.
Can you turn it around, John?
Yeah, no problem, mate. There we go, turning it around.
No.
Still looks good, doesn't it?
Let's see the back.
The back? Yeah, sure. Yeah, as you can see, it didn't really work as I'd hoped for, but for my first attempt, not bad on the front after all, and well, that's where the TV cameras will be filming from. But all joking aside, it wasn't as quite straightforward as I thought it would be, so if anyone out there is watching and they fancy visiting and showing me exactly how to do it, do feel free, because I did in fact try again with a stem and the results were, well, similar. The good news is though, I did actually manage to get a bar end plug here painted, and that looks pretty cool, but for all the effort it's worth, that's not really what I wanted to have done. But either way, I was super interested to do it, and now I've tried it out, I can at least say I've done that. Let me know though, have you tried hydro dipping? Let me know in the comment section down below, and well, hopefully we'll get an expert in one day to actually show me how to do it. Like and share this video with your friends, please. Don't give me too much of a hard time in the comment section down below, especially after my frame painting episode 2. And now with this hydro dipping, I don't really think I'm cut out for it, but well, who knows? Maybe I'll find my specialist subject of artistry pretty soon. Right, there we are for the time being. Remember as well to subscribe to the channel, and also click that little notification icon so you get a little ding dong each and every time we put a video live. And now for 2 more videos, how about clicking just down here and just down here.